So we begin by finding a comfortable position. We close our eyes, changing the external environment with our eyesight into the um, internal environment with sensing and feeling. It's called interoception. And for that transition to deepen into the interoceptive awareness, we take 3 deep breaths together. So let's inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And last one, inhale, exhale. Good. Now we're inside the interoception, tuning into our feet to start, noticing how you're standing, where the dominant pressure is in the feet, noticing what foot you have more weight, more pressure into the ground, and noticing if you have more pressure into your front of your feet. Notice if you have a slight lift in the heel in the back, climbing up the leg into the knees, noticing if one knee is more forward than the other. And moving up through the femurs into the pelvis. Can you feel if your pelvis is pointing forward, or does it have a rotation to the left or to the right? Can you feel in that space? Now let's bring our fingertips up to our pelvic headlights. From our navel, we go down a couple of inches and we slide our fingers to the side until we feel a bony prominence. And we tune in to see how far away the pelvic headlights are away from the midline between our pubis and our navel and our sternum. Which pelvic headlight feels further away and further down? Do you have a right side down and out and a left side up and in, or is it in reverse? Left side down and out, right side up and in. It's one of the two usually. Let's bring awareness to the lower rib cage where the upper metacenter lives. Notice if you're in the rib thrust, do the ribs feel like they're stacking over the pelvis? And does the pelvis feel like it's stacking over the feet? Notice where you're at in the zero line. And slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. Now let's make our way down to the ground to begin our second phase of the regenerative formula. This regenerative formula is what creates the big changes in our regenerate phase. There's 3 phases to our work: realign, reinforce, regenerate. And these 6 body code classes are part of the regenerate phase. Reinforce is our TBMCs. Realign is where you learn the zero line. So we lay in our meta restore position to start. This changes the relationship with our bodies with gravity. When we stand, We compress. When we lay in the meta restore position, we decompress. We can lose up to a quarter of an inch by the end of the day because of gravitational compression and tension and asymmetries. And so the elongation practice, the decompression practices will help improve your regeneration. So we first feel our body just sinking into the ground. We focus on our bones. Feel your back of your pelvis, back of the shoulder blades and the head. Notice if your natural tendency in your neck is to be in the overtuck. Now, if you're in the overtuck, I invite you to lift the chin and train your body to receive the pressure on the back of the head in more of the cervical curve, which usually is with the chin up higher. So we have to retrain our body if our body's used to being in the overtuck and chin. So it develops the curve. So we feel our feet, our arms. After the feeling the bones, we transfer the awareness to our muscles. And then we tune into the muscle tension, shoulders, abs, legs, and then you melt. You actively engage the muscle melting process. It's just a deep relaxation. Learning to relax your body. Tension can be an obstacle. So we want to melt so that we can retrain the muscles on how to engage. And we have a deep armoring that takes place in our body. It's part of our stress and anxiety or trauma response. And that usually lives deeper into the intrinsic muscles, our jaw, pelvic floor, deep abdominal squeezing. So with that one, you can't just think about and release. It's actually something different. You got to talk to it. Internal dialogue or external. Acknowledge it, give it gratitude, and ask it to release for the time of the class. And that opens up the body for us to activate our breathing for this class, which is the upper meta center breathing. It's three-dimensional expansion. So we place our hands at the base of the ribs. Notice if you can feel the heat of your hands. Relax the shoulders, elbows are wide. And then we first bring awareness to the upper meta center sphere. It's like a ball in the inside of the body. If you trace this 1 inch or 1.5 inches below the sternum and in the center of the body, between that point, the front of the body and the spine lives a ball. It's like a plum, size of a plum. Kind of small. That's the center of gravity point for the lower body. And that from that point, when we want to learn how to breathe outward. So when we inhale, it goes into 4 directions. Exhale, it returns back to that sphere, the upper meta center. The hands are on your ribs to make sure that you're breathing in different parts of the rib cage. So what we're going to do is we're going to breathe first starting in our back. So we don't want to feel any breath going into your rib cage. Most people breathe forward. we retrain our bodies to breathe into our back. So when you inhale, notice if you can prevent yourself from breathing into the front ribs. Maybe you do like just 10%, 20%. Bring your awareness to the back of the rib cage along the upper metacenter line. Notice if you squeeze your pelvic floor or your jaw or your shoulders roll up. Try to relax the body as you tune into this breath pattern. Breathing into the back. Now we breathe into the sides. Now the rib cage flattens. Like a pancake from front to back. It gets pushed in and the sides bellow out. And then we breathe all the four directions together from the upper metacenter outward. So feel the rib cage expand and feel the rib cage return. Underneath this part of the rib cage lives the diaphragm. So you feel the front of the rib cage lifting, the sides expanding, and the back of the rib cage pressing into the ground. Let's move on into our mobility phase, bringing the arms back to 45 down, sun palm. We first connect with our pelvis movements, the hip clock. Press the feet down into the ground first. That's a subtle activation through the legs. Then we push the feet away from the pelvis, subtle. It's not a big movement. The pelvis remains heavy, so it's not lifting. A lot of you will lift the pelvis initially, and then we try to train our body to stay heavy on the ground with this movement. So just let the pelvis rock. Basically, it rocks so the points towards the sky. And then we slowly release the pelvis by releasing the foot pressure. And so we're building the relationship with the ground expansion. Press down, push away. Keep the pelvis heavy. And the spine, the lower spine, the lumbars will press into the ground. And then the pelvis will elevate at the very end of the movement. And so go ahead and do that. Do the previous training or the way that you've been cued before. Just try it if you don't, never heard of it. And then slowly relax that. Notice how the lumbars press in the ground. And instead, we want little lumbar pressure into the ground, more pelvis rotation. So more of the pelvis moving versus the lumbars pressing. So press the feet into the ground, push the feet away, feel the heaviness of the pelvis. Then there's an elongation of the lumbar spine that occurs while it's still curved. So it's arching. It's like in an arch, but it's elongating the arch. It's not flat, flattening and pushing into the ground. It's one of the low back tendencies that creates a instability over time, in my opinion. Just do that one more time. Press down first. In the foot class, you learn more about your tripod. Pressing away, the pelvis rocks. The pelvis remains heavy. Notice how you're lifting the pelvis up. Notice how you're trying to just push your low back into the ground. You got to take away that propensity to retrain the subtlety, because the subtlety is where the change and regeneration comes in. Nice. So that's our 12 o'clock. Now we'll train the 6 o'clock. Pushing the feet down, pulling the feet towards the pelvis. The hamstrings will activate. You might cramp up initially. Just shake out the leg if you do. Now, what you got to retrain here is not to use your low back. The low back will have us create a subtle arch with this movement without the low back activation. In the spine class, you learn to use your low back activation, but not for this class. And now slowly relax. Notice how the pelvis returns back to neutral. Try again. Press the feet down. Keep the pelvis heavy. So push into the ground while the pelvis remains heavy. Pull the feet. Hamstrings activate. Low back arches. And as the arch occurs, the low back remains heavy. And then slowly relax. You train the hamstrings on how to move the pelvis, not just how to live on the back of the leg doing nothing. One more time, sink the feet, pull the feet, the pelvis rotates, the low back arch subtly elevates without the low back activation. Isn't that interesting? And relax. Now we do our sides, horizontal rhythm, we call it. It's broken down to our 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. So we've pressed our right foot into the ground. Let's bring your right hand up, place it on the right pelvic headlight. Press the right foot into the ground. The right pelvic headlight elevates, and the left side is heavy on the ground. So now the pelvis is pointing off to the left. This movement mimics walking. This is what happens when you walk. The pelvis rotates to both sides. So we're retraining the motion of walking with this movement. And then slowly lower the right pelvis by lessening the pressure of your right foot. To regenerate the body, we need to build that relationship with the ground. If you don't, then there's going to be a lot of challenge with regeneration. Press the right foot into the ground. As you do that, become more in tune with how your knee is aligning over your ankle. And then notice the conductive energy going up through the femur, lifting that right pelvic headlight, pressing into the ground, creates a conduction through the bones to move the bones and slowly lower. Now, the tendency is for you to go into a 12 o'clock. The butt tucks under with this movement. So what we're going to do is press our feet down, pull the feet towards the pelvis. That creates a hamstring activation, a low back arches slightly. Place your right hand on the headlights. Press the right foot into the ground. So you're starting off with the low back curve. And now you are lifting the headlight with the ground expansion, but with the low back curve involved. As you get more in tune with our work, you can start to feel how the right femur head goes into the deeper centrated state on the right acetabulum as this left headlight elevates. And then you start to feel the six body code objectives a little bit more. And then slowly lower. Notice that hamstring activation still present to create that low back arch. And then you relax. So building the horizontal rhythm with the low back arch from the hamstring activation. Press down, pull into the 6 o'clock, press the feet into the ground, creating that low back arch in addition to the left side elevation. Lift that left side. Pull that left hamstring or that left heel towards the pelvis. And then slowly relax all the way down. And then relax the hamstring. Hamstring involvement helps repattern pelvic position. That's what we're going to focus on next, is the pelvis correction. So what we're going to do is work with the up and in side of the pelvis first. So we place the up and in side pelvis Then we're going to press the femur away from the body using our hand, and our arm extends, our left palm presses into the femur. Then we feel a traction in the hip. And then we pull the inside part of that femur into the hand, so it makes the left hand. And then there's an activation of the inner leg. And then we slowly relax. Slide down the leg a little bit, push the leg more further away as you go further towards the pelvis with the push and the pressure that creates more traction in the femur. Pull the left side towards the left hand. For me, it's the left side. For you, it might be the right side. Whichever side is up and in with your pelvic headlight, we're in the pelvic headlight correction. Pulling into the hand and relax. And now go a little bit lower on the femur. Pull the femur into the hand. Notice how the right foot engages with the ground even more to help counterbalance the movement. That's how the anchor point, one of the anchor points work, or one of the three ways an anchor point works. And then slowly relax. And then bring the left foot all the way back down to the meta restore position. Place the down and out leg over the knee. For me, it's the right side, and I attribute that to the gas pedal and the way we sit in the vehicle. And then we reach around with the opposite arm. So for me, it's my left arm, rocking around the right knee, pulling the right knee. For you, it might be your left knee, pulling up towards your right shoulder. My right knee is being pulled up towards my left shoulder until it feels like the end range. And then activate the knee to push into the hand. And that creates an activation of the right glute. And then you pull the knee into the hand and then you relax. And then you pull the right knee up into the left shoulder. One last time, relaxing the glute entirely, finding your new end range, pulling the knee up towards the opposite shoulder, and then you pull the knee into the hand. And then relax. Then place that right foot back on the ground, the meta restore position. Check in with your pelvic headlights. You may not feel a big difference in the alignment initially. But now we're going to do our vertical rhythm to help balance this out. Push the feet down, pull, or push down, then push away. For the 12 o'clock, keep your fingers on the headlights, and you want to notice the tracking, the timing, they move together. Relax the feet, push down, pull. Notice if both headlights go down towards the feet, keep the pelvis heavy, don't use the low back. Push the feet down and away. Notice that both pelvic headlights track up towards the shoulders. And go back and forth and notice they both move at the same time. And likely they won't, because the correction only was aimed at correcting the headlight. There's 3 other places to correct it: pelvic crest and the sit bone. But throughout the class, it'll change. So just become aware of what it feels like now. It'll correct even more with our rib cage mobilization. That's where we're going next. Let's bring our arms to the 90 degrees sky palm. We're going to do glides. First, we do our right side. Right hand comes up to the center sternum, just beneath the base of the throat. Elbow elevates. Lift the head, rotate over to look over at the left hand first. Slide the right hand to the left shoulder. You might feel this elongation happening in the left arm when you rotate your head. That's a nerve glide. Keep the left shoulder down. Lift the head up and then slide the right hand all the way over to the left hand. Connecting the feet to the ground, the knees point up towards the sky. Breathe into your upper meta center. Get that left pelvis heavy. Don't lift it up. Lower that left pelvis. Notice how that activates the left inner thigh a bit more. Keep the body heavy in the ground. Slowly glide all the way back. Once the hand reaches the left shoulder, lower the head, rotate it towards the sky, bring the right hand all the way to the ground. The left shoulder slides to the right shoulder, or the left hand slides to the right shoulder. Lift the head, slide the left hand along the inside of the right arm all the way to the prayer hand. Keep the right pelvis heavy. We're doing a 9 o'clock in our pelvis. Keep the right side heavy. Do 2 upper meta center breaths. Keep the right arm heavy, the right pelvis heavy. Try to get the feet on the ground, the knees pointing up, the head lifted. And then slowly slide the left arm all the way back to the right shoulder, lower the head. Rotate the head towards the sky. The hand slides across the chest to go back out. Bring the fingertips back to the headlights. Do our vertical rhythms. Press our feet down and away. Notice the timing of your headlights. Push the feet down and pull. Just you becoming more aware of these 2 points on your body is a game changer for the regeneration of your body. Because the pelvis controls a lot of how our body feels. Pelvis is the controller. Okay, good job. Now we're going to move to stability. So after our pelvis has had the better alignment, we've moved to the mobility of our pelvis and our rib cage. Now we're ready to stabilize this in place. Start with our glute maximus activation. We call this the pelvic up. Bring the feet together, open up to the line of the hip. Sink the feet down, push the feet down, pull the feet towards the pelvis. That creates a low back arch. Then press the feet in the ground. The pelvis elevates. Now notice how the chin gets closer to the chest here. Create the vertical fist width space, the chin. So your actually chin is up a little bit higher. These subtleties to keep the 6 body codes intact while we do our movements. Shoulder blades, things. Notice how the glutes begin to activate without your squeezing. If you are squeezing, relax. If you feel like you are pelvic thrusting, bring more pelvis towards the ground, create the low back arch. We want a deep femur here. Now lower the pelvis slowly. Feel how the ground plays a role. Slowly tap the pelvis and come up. For 1, lower, tap. 2, lower, tap. 3, lower. Use the ground, tap. 4, tap. 5, tap. 6, use the ground, feel the glute activation. And 7, we want to feel the glute activation both sides. Hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then slowly lower all the way down. Very good. So that is the glute maximus activation, the back glute we call it. Go into your horizontal rhythm, press the feet down, push away, track your pelvic headlights. Tuning into your pelvis is essential for this class. Relaxing, push the feet down and pull. Just noticing how the pelvic headlights are moving and how they're aligning. You keeping track of your headlights through the pelvics class is one of the jobs for you. Even if you're not sure if you're doing it right, if you're holding your pelvis right, just become more familiarized with this area. Okay, good. Now let's roll over onto our left side. Left arm, 90 degree, left elbow bends. Left hand comes up to be a pillow. Right hand starts up in the side sky reach, then descends down into a kickstand hand. Then while we're here, we work on our pelvic crest, hiking and descending. Right side hikes, descends, hikes, descends, hikes and descends. Then we use our low back to create a little bit of an arch to create a 6 o'clock so we're not too flat in the low back. We're descended in our right crest. We have a dorsiflexion in our ankle with Tai Chi toes. So the toes are curling around the other way, not pulling up, reaching down. Then we lift our right leg up, hold, and then notice how the left side here is lifted. Breathe into the upper metacenter. Relax the right shoulder. And now lift the right foot up towards the sky, keeping the right knee in the line of the hip, training the right femur to rotate evenly. Now go back with the right foot. Keep the right foot where it is. Now just lift the right knee. Bending the femur inside of the acetabulum. Notice how you went to a right pelvic crest height. Descend. Descend that. And back to the beginning. Now the muscles are more primered. The bone is more in alignment. The femur head is more centrated. We'll go into our flapjacks. Lower the right knee to the left knee, lift the right foot, tap. Come back to the beginning. Now bring the right heel to the left heel, open up the right knee, and back to 2. That's a kiss. Knee kiss, heel kiss, 2. Knee kiss, heel kiss, 3. 4. Feel the activation on the side hip. 5. Keep the left knee in the ground. 6, 7, and hold. Straighten out the leg in the line of the hip, elongating the right pelvic headlight, keeping the left knee pressure on the ground. Hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now bring that right foot behind the left leg. Straighten out the left leg. We're going to work on the adductor leg lift. Open the knee so it points up towards the sky. Dorsiflex the left ankle so the kneecap points forward and the left femur deepens and centrates in the acetabulum. Tai Chi toes on the left side. Lift the left leg up. But try to create a little bit of room, a little bit of space and arching in the left sideline so the right side just doesn't hike up. Lift on up and lower on down. Keep the right side descended. Lower, tap, and lift for 1. Tap, 2, tap, 3, tap, 4, tap, 5, tap, 6, tap, 7, and hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower on down. Let's go back to our meta restore position. Bringing your fingertips to your pelvic headlights. Let's do our vertical rhythm. Push and pull with our feet, feeling the pelvic headlights, noticing the timing of how they track up and down, and noticing the alignment if they're towards the midline or away from the midline. Okay, now let's roll over onto our right side. And the right elbow bends, the right hand comes up underneath the right side of the head. Start the left hand in the sky reach. Then we slowly descend down into the kickstand hand. Then we work with our left pelvic crust and height. Create a low back arch slightly so we incorporate the lumbar curve. Dorsiflex the ankles, tai chi toes. Lift the top leg to the line of the hip. Rotate to the right more so the right knee receives more pressure and more connection to the ground. Now lift the left foot up while keeping the left knee in the line of the hip. Primering the left side internal rotation. Come back to balance. Now lift the right knee. The left heel stays in the line of the hip. The right knee elevates for the external rotation of the femur. And come back to the line. Now let's go into our knee kiss and heel kiss. Knee kiss, left foot elevates. Heel kiss, right knee elevates. Knee kiss. Heel kiss 2. 3. Knee kiss. Heel kiss 4. 5. 6. And 7. Now straighten out the leg, feeling the left side descend. Hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then slowly place the left foot on the ground. Extend the right leg. Now that right leg will be externally rotated, the kneecaps pointing into the ground. Same with the ankle and the toes. We dorsiflex. Kneecap points forward, the ankle and the toes point forward. Now curl the toes in for tai chi toes. Lift the right leg up. Try not to hike up the left side. Keep it descended so a little side arch gets developed. And let's lower, tap, lift 1, tack, 2, tack, 3, tack, 4, tack, 5, 6, and 7. We hold. Descend the left pelvic crust, hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower the right side. Good job. Roll over onto your back. Bring your fingertips to your pelvic headlights. Let's go into our vertical rhythms. Press the feet down, push away, 12 o'clock. Release the feet, push the feet down, pull the feet towards the pelvis, 6 o'clock. Push, pull, push, track the headlight, keep your fingertips, noticing what's happening, and relax. Now we have our fire hydrant leans. Let's roll over onto our back bug. So setting up our back bug first, our right hand or our both hands and our knees are the anchor points in this position. We focus on those first. The hands are a little bit wider than the shoulders, but are at shoulder height. Bring awareness to the hands. The index or the middle finger is pointing forward, and the wrist crease does that too. And then we rotate the elbow crease in toward each other. Notice how when you rotate the elbow crease in, how the index finger hand pad receives more pressure. When the elbow creases are pointing towards the thumbs, the index finger pressure is less. So rotating the elbow crease towards each other helps with the quad pod palm connection. Now we create a vertical fist width between the chin and the chest. We lift the ribs, bring the tailbone up towards the sky to increase the low back arch. Create the Tai Chi toes. You learn more about the Tai Chi toes in the foot class, but I like to bring them in right away. Now let's slide the right hand where the left hand is. Then the left hand stays along the same line, but reaches out. So right now, the primary pressure is in the right hand. Then we stack the right knee over the left knee, and then we put primary pressure into the left hand. We balance the spine line. Ribs lift, tailbone lifts. Lift the right leg up. Keep the pressure in the left hand and the quad pod palm. Okay, then we first lower down to the line of the hip. Pause there. Feel the activation in the left glute. Then we come back up. Good. Now we're going to go down and do the kisses. So we lower, kiss the knee, and up. We'll call that 2. Left hand receives pressure. Lower, kiss, lift, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Straighten out the leg and hold. 10. Left hand receives the pressure. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Descend the right crest. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend the knee. Lower the knee all the way down to the left side. Bring the right knee out to the line of the hip. Then slide the left hand over, right hand over. Then you could shake out the left arm. Shake out the right arm. Then we set it up for the other side. Quad pod palms, elbow crease, chin, vertical fist width, raise the ribs, back of the ribs, tailbone up. Breathe into the upper medicenter. Slide the left hand to where the right hand is. Right hand goes all the way out. Stack the left knee over the right. Palm on the right hand receives the pressure. Lift the left leg up. Lower down to the line of the hip first. Train the alignment. And come on up. Keep the weight in the right hand. Lower, kiss the leg, and up. 2, kiss. 3, kiss. 4, rotate the right elbow crease. Kiss. 5, weight in the right hand. Kiss. 6, kiss. 7, straighten out the leg and hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend at the right knee. Lower down to the right knee. Lift or bend the left knee. Bring the left knee to the line of the hip on the ground. Then slide on over. Shake it on out with the right arm. Shake it on out the left arm. Then we go back down to a meta restore position, or actually we stay here. We stay here. We do our first equalization movement, back bug circles. So we first start in clockwise, circling of our hips. in a small circle. This is a hydrator of the femur acetabular joint and the mobilizer, both the same, just different objectives. Mobilize creates space, hydration creates fluid, or not fluid, the ability for the body to have more of a fluid space to move through. Then we increase our circles to larger circles, but you try to keep your lumbar curve present. And notice how you're using your ground expansion out of the knees to move you. Then we go into our counterclockwise. Counterclockwise, small circles. The head pulls back as if we had a bar on our back, keeping the chin vertical, fistlet. Don't let the chin droop forward. Then we go into a larger circle. Lift the rib cage up. Just trying to maintain that spinal alignment so it can isolate at the femur to hip joint, which helps with the pelvis alignment. Now let's go front to back for the back foot tracking. Front to back. And let's roll over onto your back. For the next equalization movement, go ahead and shake out your arms if you want. Could be a lot of pressure on your wrists. I felt that too. Okay, now we're going to practice. Go back into your vertical rhythm. Line of the hip, check pelvic headlights, the fingertips, push and pull. Noticing the changes, feeling the changes with interoception, how it feels and how you sense it, and feeling the change with the pelvic headlight. It's two different sensations that you're becoming aware of. Now we lift the left leg up into the sky reach. That creates a natural 3 o'clock. The right pelvis is higher than the left pelvic headlight. Can you feel that? Now, can you balance the pelvic headlights? So if you root the right glute, the left sky reach lifts up slightly, and then you relax. And if you lower the right pelvic or lower the right glute, now place the left foot over the right knee. Lift the knees, right knee, clasp your hands on the back of the femur or on the right tibia. That's the shin. And notice the stretching that occurs on the left glute. Try to relax the body and muscle melt, de-armor. Return back to the upper medicine breathing. Roll the body to the right, creating space in our left pelvic thrust. Feeling the stretch in our left glute even more. And slowly rolling back over onto your back. Pulling the knee up closer to your body. Lowering the right foot back down. Lifting the left leg back up to the sky reach. Notice how it might feel easier. Root the right glute As you lower the left foot all the way back down, vertical rhythms, push and pull. Pelvis is the controller. Okay, now we lift the right leg up. Notice how the pelvis tilts to the right into our 9 o'clock. So let's create a balanced pelvis and a balanced headlight. Root the left glute, lift the right pelvic headlight. That incorporates the right leg elevating as well. Now lower back down to what's natural or what it is without any movements. Now lower the left glute, lift the right glute, balancing the headlights. That creates some effort, right? The left foot has to press in the ground to lower the left glute, and the right side elevates. Now let's place the right foot over the left knee. Good. Now the headlights are more balanced while we do our stretch. Lift the left knee, clasp rapid back and femur and tibia. Feel the stretch in the right glute, learning to de-armor, muscle melting. Stretching deeper into the right hip, slowly rolling over onto your back, pulling the knee up even more, lowering the left foot all the way down to the ground, bringing your right leg up towards the sky, pressing the left foot, a left glute, lifting up the right side, slowly lowering the right side all the way back down to the pelvic headlight or to the meta restore position, and relaxing. Do the vertical rhythms, checking with your pelvic headlights. Bring your hand back up to the rib cage. Do 3 upper meta-center breaths. Then we're going to slowly rise up standing for 2 more equalization movements. 3-dimensional expansion breath along the upper meta-center line. Okay, good. Now rise on up. We make our way to the wall, standing all the way up, equalizing your balance in the standing, letting the body re-equalize, then going into some movement, which is walking here. Now we go into our hamstring wall stretch. This is going to help elongate our spine, help lift our body up. In addition to, it'll help equalize our pelvis and our legs. Let's place our hands on the wall, elbow height, shoulder width. Take a big step back with one leg, then take a big step back with the other leg. Walk the hand down the wall so it's parallel with the ground. Keep the chin, the vertical fist width. Press the hands on the wall, rotate the elbow crease towards each other. Try to bring pressure into the big toe foot pad. Now bend the knees slightly forward so the pelvis can tilt into the 6 o'clock, creating a low back arch. We want those sit bones to lift up towards the sky. The low back arches. Press the hands in the wall. Lift the tailbone up. Lift the sit bones up. Sink the tripod. And now try to straighten your legs out as much as you can. Breathing into the upper metacenter. Feeling the upper metacenter, low back or mid back breath lift up towards the sky, the back of the ribs lift. Now we're going to slowly bend the knees slightly, keep the sits bones elevating, walk your hands up the wall, take a big step forward. Using the hands against the wall to make sure our equilibrium can return if you feel a little dizzy. We're going to walk back to the center and do our meta wide squat. This helps the femurs feet into the pelvis, and it helps pelvis find its vertical orientation. Okay, so we first start in our line of our hip. We bring our arms out side 90 degree. We open up our feet real wide, so they're about elbow width or maybe forearm width. This is the A frame. We spin our feet so they open up to the 45-degree angle. Make sure our heels are lined up. Notice when you do that, your pelvis floats forward into the pelvic thrust. Pull the pelvis back. Lift the chest up. Chin comes up to the vertical fist lift. Rotate the palms to face the sky to the pinky elevates to strengthen the pinky muscle in the hand. Then we lower our body down, the knees widen. The pelvis comes back, so you're more in your heels. Knees stay wide. Now lower even more. Lift the chest up, pelvis back. Breathe into the upper metacenter. Good. Now we'll do 7 up and downs. Go up, down, 1, up, down, 2, eye gaze forward, 3, use your feet to press you. 4, it's not your knees moving. 5, 6, 7. Now stand all the way up to lower the arm. Walk the feet back underneath the pelvis into the line of the hip. Closing our eyes, turning into our post-class body scan. The neural loop, measuring what was there before, what is there now. Notice your connection with your feet to the ground. Notice the alignment of your knees, which one is more forward. Notice if your pelvis feels more forward. You still feel rotated. Bring the fingertips to your headlights. Notice the change there, if any. If you don't quite feel it now, it'll slowly adapt through the day. Notice the alignment of the ribs. Notice if you have some of the other 6 body code objective features, like the floating arms, clavicle expansion, vertical lift. Is that present for you? And we're going to close our class with 3 upper metacenter breaths. Inhale. Upper metacenter line only is breathing. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. How does it feel in your body? Slowly open your eyes. Great work, everyone. Now let's hear from our live class.